Lesson 2, Conversation 2. Okay, I'm going to explain some of the grammar points in the second half of chapter Lesson 2 because things are beginning to get a little complicated. What I want to talk about is Korean verbs and adjectives. I mean, you know what verbs are. They indicate actions and sometimes processes, mental and physical, like to go, to run, to think. Adjectives describe states like size, weight, quality, quantity, shape, appearance, perception, emotion, happy, sad, small, large, heavy, light, many. These are all adjectives. And there's no disputing these points, right? These things apply to English, these things apply to Korean. But there is one major difference between Korean adjectives and English adjectives. Let's look at these two columns over here. Under adjectives, what do you see that these elements have in common? They all start with be, right? In English, only the right would be the adjective. Many, much, delicious, good, big, large. These things would be adjectives. And the adjectives do not include be verbs. When I say be verbs, I'm talking about basic linking verbs like am, are, is, will be, was, were, these things. They're all altogether called be verbs. That's the base form, dictionary form. So the difference between English adjectives and Korean adjectives is that Korean adjectives actually include the linking verb, be. So they pretty much function like verbs. That's the difference. So of course their meanings are different from verbs, but their functions are very much the same. And how they're used in sentences and where they're located, same thing as verbs. So let me show you some Korean verbs. To go is 가요. To eat is 먹어요. Do homework is 숙제해요. To sit is 앉아요. Notice 앉아요, right? 느 with the first syllable, 자, 주 with the second syllable. To know, 알아요, like that. And you will also notice the endings are the same between the verbs and adjectives. So 괜찮아요, 많아요, 맛있어요, to be delicious, 좋아요, to be good, to be large, 커요. The endings are the same. So you notice this is a conjugation. It's a variation of a verb form ending, and the endings apply both to verbs and adjectives. So once again, to reiterate the point in English, the adjective is simply delicious. To be is part of the verb. So to complete a sentence, you have to say the subject, the chocolate, and you want to link it with the quality of the chocolate, which is delicious, and you link it with the be verb is. In Korean, to be delicious itself is the adjective, so you don't need a be verb. You just need the subject and an adjective that completes the whole idea. There's no linking. So is included in delicious, is delicious. A strange kind of verb / adjective is 있어요. Literally, it means to exist. Sometimes it's used as a verb, as here. Something is somewhere. So 가방 안에 책이 있어요 means the book or a book is, exists inside the bag. A book is inside of the bag, right? So it means to exist. It's a verb. And as I have mentioned before, in Korean, the verbs and adjectives are the last elements in a sentence. In English, that's why when I do a translation, you'll see the cursor moving in a weird way, right? Because I said a book, the subject in the middle, is the verb at the end, inside the bag. In English, you would put 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see that? In fact, this difference is so important that languages like Korean is called a left branching language because the key, the verb, is at the end, and all the modifiers and all the things that kind of qualify the verb come to the left of the verb. In English, you would say a book is, so verb is in the middle and then it branches out to the right. It's a right branching language. So now you've learned some fundamentals of linguistics. To exist can also be an adjective. It's when it's connected to a stem like mat. Mat literally means taste. If there's a taste, what does that mean? If something has a taste of, or if there is a taste in something, that means it's delicious. So together it becomes an adjective. So you know the origin. Taste exists is literally what it means. Now as one adjective, it means is delicious. Another strange kind of verb is ieo, yeo. It's a copula, copula as in copulation, linking, indicating equation. So let's say if I say, oh, I have to write it. I am a teacher. M is a copula, and that's ieo, eo. In Korean, you would say 나는, which is I. Of course, you would switch these two because Korean is a left branching language. The verb comes last. So the word for 선생님, teacher, is 선생님. 님. And then the verb is 이에요. That's the meaning of 이에요. It's linking. But in Korean, it links at the end because it's a verb. Okay, so, you already know the honorific expressions in Korean can drive anybody absolutely nuts because it's so complicated. Just last trip to Korea actually revealed to me how unprepared young people are these days, or how educated in a way. They're very, very ignorant about the very different, just gazillion different ways of being polite. I mean, I've forgotten many, but they live there. They should know better. I don't know if that's an indication of people becoming more informal and showing less deference to older people, because I do see it in their behaviors as well. But anyway, honorifics can give you a headache. But to make it easy on you, the textbook and I have chosen one polite ending that will fly in just about any situation. You're never going to be too rude, you're never going to be too polite, because extreme politeness can be perceived as an insult. So this ending is very useful. But before we get into talking about 어요, 아요 ending, you need to understand how verbs and adjectives are composed. They consist of two parts, the stem and the ending. The stem stays the same, ending changes depending on who you're talking to, depending on which verb tense you want to talk about, depending on if you're talking about something with certainty, if you're unsure, depending on, let me go back. So that's the ending that gets conjugated. So with the copular verb 이다 or 아니다, not is not, the stem is 이, 아니, the ending is 다. I mean, you've noticed that all the endings are 다. This is the ending you find in the dictionary. This is the dictionary form of ending. This is the part that gets conjugated depending on the level of deference you want to show, depending on the verb tense, depending on the degree of certainty, depending on a whole bunch of variables that you will soon be discovering. But the stem doesn't change, so sometimes it does, usually it doesn't. 이, 아니, with verbs ha, to do, 먹, to eat, 안, to sit, with adjectives 맛있, delicious, 괜찮, be okay, okay, 좋, as in 좋다, means to be good. So just understand that that is a dictionary ending, and that's the ending that goes through transformations. So how do you apply the polite endings? Okay, I want you to notice the different colors here. I want you to notice the gray and the yellow here. Ignore the purple. Okay, Korean. Okay, so the polite endings are either 어요 or 아요. In Korean psyche and my psyche as well, because it's become second nature to me, we distinguish between bright sounds and dark sounds. To our ears, a is a bright sound, a is a bright sound, is a dark sound. Maybe if you look at the Korean flag, what's in the middle of it is yin and yang. So this darkness and brightness contrast is very important in our psyche. Maybe that's it. So we tend to put bright sounds with bright sounds and dark sounds with dark sounds. And if you have guessed that gray must be dark, you're absolutely right. So of the polite endings, 어요 is the dark ending. And you put that next to a stem that's also dark. How do you know if something is dark or bright? When it doesn't just come to you naturally. You just need to understand that bright vowels are a and o. The rest are dark. Okay, it's very difficult to be bright. A or o. Very bright. Don't you hear it? A, o. So with a, yellow, bright, an, ayo. So if you put the yellow and yellow together, it's an, it's the two consonants. So an, 자요, to sit. Or please sit. 앉아요. Among the adjectives, 괜찮, to be okay. So if you say it's okay, you say 괜찮, 차, that's bright, right? 아요, 괜찮, 아요. 조, 오, that's bright, so 좋아요, 좋아요. The rest are all dark. So 먹어요, 맛있어요. So just remember bright, a or They conjugate with 아요, as in 앉아요, 괜찮아요, 좋아요. All the other vowels are dark. So 어요, 먹어요, 넓어요. Exceptions, of course. 크, that's the stem. 크, it's not a or it's not o, so it's dark. So 어요, 크어요, 크어요. But we're lazy. Why say two vowels when you can combine them into one? So you say 커요. It's a contraction. 사, that's the stem. And then it's bright. So 아요, 싸아요, 싸아요. Okay, why say two identical vowels when you can just say one? So 싸요, 싸요. Same thing here. 가, 가다, to go. 가, bright. 아요, 가요. Why say two identical vowels when you can just say one? 가요, 가요. Other exceptions are copular verb 이다. Don't try to come up with a rule. Just memorize. 이에요. Excuse. 이에요. 아니, 아니에요. 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 This is where memorization comes in handy. So much of language is memorization. yeah, 80% of language is logical. You can study the rules and you can apply them systematically. That saves you time and energy to memorize things. But the rest, 20%, are exceptions. Just memorize them. Kind of makes your life easier if you just give up on trying to logic chop everything. 하다, 해요. Don't ask me. 하다 verbs, there are lots of 하다 verbs in Korean. It means to do. So you just attach whatever to do. If you do laundry, 세탁하다. You do the dishes, 설거지 하다. Just means to do. It's an ending in a lot of the verbs. With those verbs, it's always 해요, 해요.